Hey guys, Vic from AirVol here, your trusted Canadian CPAP supplier. And in today's video, we're going to go over how to use your new Air 11 device. So if you're watching this video, you just recently got an Air 11 device from us, whether it's an AirSense 11 APAP or whether it's an AirCurve 11 VAuto Bi-PAP machine, this video is for you. It's going to go over the general user interface on terms of how to adjust your user settings like your humidity and other things to make your therapy more comfortable. It'll go over the data you can view on your machine, as well as we'll touch on the app that the machine uses as well. And lastly, also the maintenance of the equipment too. So let's get started. So when you first get the device, it does come in a travel case like this, and we have an unboxing video as well if you want to see exactly how it comes if it's delivered to you. Essentially, the travel case, you would have the machine, the water chamber, the tubing. In terms of the tubing, you do have two tubing options with the Air 11 device. You can get a climate line air heated tubing like the one I have here, or you could get a regular slimline non-heated tubing. Both options are available. Of course, you also get that water chamber. Masks are sold separately. For the purposes of this video, I have a popular mask called the ResMed N20 nasal mask. Of course, you can choose any mask on our website based on what's your needs, whether it's a nasal pillow, or a full face mask. It will be compatible with this machine. Okay. Along with that, you do get your power adapter as well. It has a built-in transformer, so it adjusts from 110 to 240. If you travel internationally, you should definitely take your machine with you so you don't miss out on therapy, and you can just plug it in and use your therapy as you would locally. We also provide an AirVol care guide sheet with your purchase as well, and this care guide sheet goes over the maintenance that's required in terms of the replacement maintenance as well as cleaning guidelines for the equipment, which we'll go over in this video as well, but you do get that with your equipment. Okay, so the Air 11 device has a heated humidifier integrated right into the side of the machine, and that's where your water canister actually inserts into the machine. The water canister has a scale on the side indicating how much water you have left, and you basically want to fill up your water up to that maximum indicated line. It is recommended on a nightly basis to top up your water so that you have a fresh full tank, ideally changing the water entirely. To fill up the tank, you're simply going to lift open the lid and you pour your water up top to the maximum indicated line. Like all PAP devices, you ideally want to use distilled water on these to avoid mineral residue buildup. Okay, so once that's filled up, that just goes into the side of the machine. On the back side of your unit, you have your tubing port. So your tube literally just fits over that port over there. If you're using a regular tubing, it just fits right over that tubing port. If you're using a climate line air heated tubing, you'll notice one end has a little chip, and you want to insert that chip into the top slot. So basically with this heated tubing, you would insert it in like that, and then you just pinch the sides and remove it out if you want to take off the tubing. Okay. You also have your power cord adapter insertion over here, so that's where your power supply goes into. And this is your air inlet of the machine, where it draws in air, and also the location of the air filter. The filter is a little foam that's right in there. It's not washable, so when it's too dirty, you would just change it. Usually every 3 months, you're going to change the filter. If you have pets or allergies, there's also hypoallergenic filters that you can get separately too, so you can inquire about that. So you would just remove the filter, take it out, put the new one in, and close this door when you're changing that filter every 3 months. On the other side of the device, you do have a slot for an SD card option. Now, the newer Air 11 and the Air 10 devices no longer come pre-installed with an SD card, as you can actually get the data from your device on the My Air app. You can also get more detailed reports from the vendor you purchased from, as they can access the cloud data that this machine transmits all its information to. And the cloud data is more detailed. However, if you have a program like Oscar and you're very technical and you like to look at that information yourself, bypassing the cloud access, you can get an SD card, you can insert it into the side of the machine, copy over your information, and then you can use a program like Oscar to view your information at your own request. In terms of what type of SD card, any standard SD card, you don't want a micro SD card. It needs to be a standard sized SD card, about 32 gigs or less. So now we're going to plug in the machine and we're going to go over the interface and what to expect over there. So when you first plug in your device, you're going to see a message where it asks you whether you're the clinician or the user. Now, if you submitted a prescription to us, we would have programmed it according to your physician prescription. Sometimes prescriptions might not have suggested settings where they just want you on the default APAP mode or the default BiPAP mode, depending on which model was recommended for you. In those cases, the machine would be kept on its default settings. Either way, this is the screen you will see when you first plug in your machine. So as the user, you would select user, and then the machine is going to give you some information on the device and ask you some questions to get a gauge on your sleep health and give you some information on what to expect from your therapy. So let's continue. Okay. So initially it asks you when you started using your equipment, so you can select the option that you want and then hit continue. It's going to then also ask you approximately how tired you are, so you can mention whichever one applies to you and hit continue. Okay? It does tell you that most users report feeling a bit better from therapy after using the machine for about a month or more. The machine has a feature called Care Check-in, where it'll ask you questions every now and then on how your therapy is going. You can respond to these questions, and it actually records it along with the data reports of your machine. So when you do follow up with your physician and they look at these reports, the answers to your questions will also be on there. This makes therapy a bit more personal in terms of the data follow-up. There's also a smartphone app called My Air, which you can use for either the Air 11 or Air 10 devices to track data reports on your phone in an easy-to-read user interface. It'll basically help you set up your device by letting you know what your therapy data is on a nightly basis, and based on that information, you can adjust your settings accordingly. So once you go past that page, you can either get the app right away and pair it with your machine, or you could do that later. Okay? If you elect to do that later, when you're on the home page of the machine, you would just go to More, and there is the My Air app setup button. So you would install the app, and then you would let the machine know whether it's downloaded, and you could then begin to pair the equipment. The My Air app is optional, so you don't need to have it. You can, in fact, view your data reports on the machine itself. So this is the page you're now going to see on a regular basis after you go through that initial user setup. In your home page, you have the My Options, where you can adjust some settings, and My Sleep View, where you can look at some data from your previous nights. More is where you can set up your app. In My Options, you have access to settings like ramp time, humidity level, your mask setting, and on My Sleep View, you have access to data such as your usage hours, the seal of your mask, and more information. Now, this is how it's basically set up when the ResMed devices come from the factory, but we usually enable data accesses on the equipment where you'll be able to see your events per hour in the Sleep View page, and then in the My Options page, you'll also be able to adjust settings like the Smart Start and Smart Stop feature, where the machine turns on its own when you wear the mask and shuts off on its own when you remove your mask. Right now, it's not displayed on the screen, but just give me a moment and I'll show you this page again when those options are enabled. And that's how it would be for your device when you receive it from us. Okay, so now I've enabled those data accesses, and let's go look at our interface again. So when you go into My Options, you'll see the same ramp time. Another setting now you'll see is pressure relief, which is a setting for a drop in pressure for your exhalation phase. You can actually toggle this on and off. Most individuals do prefer the pressure relief, so you can leave it on, but you could turn it off as needed as well. Your humidity settings are here as well, just like before, but now you also have access to the tube type as well as your Smart Start and your Smart Stop settings. So Smart Start, if this is enabled, when you connect your tubing and wear your mask, the machine will sense your breathing and automatically start your air pressure therapy. If Smart Stop is enabled, when you remove the mask and the machine senses a high air leak for a sustained period, it will shut off the device on its own as well, making the therapy plug and play where you don't even have to press any buttons on your machine. However, if you didn't want to wait for the reaction time of the machine to turn on and off, because it can vary depending on the mask you're using, feel free to press the top button on the machine, which is your manual start-stop device button. So when you press this button once, the therapy starts right away. You press it again, it stops right away. Next up, if you go to now My Sleep View, you'll see other than usage and mask, you also have access to your events per hour. So your events per hour is your AHI or your apnea-hypopnea index of the night that just occurred previously. This is your immediate usage data report. So let's say if you just used it for 15 minutes, your report would show up over here. But if you used it for a few hours before that and you wanted to look at your entire day's data, you would just simply swipe up the page and then you could look at that data report below. If you wanted to look at cumulative data over an entire year, you would just touch extended period, and now you have access to a 12-month average report right on your machine. This report gives you information like your AHI, your leak, as well as which pressure your machine was going to. This is especially useful when you're using a device in the auto set range. It'll tell you which pressure the machine went to between the min and max pressures. So this is how your interface would look like with those data access enabled. Now, if you don't see those data points, you could always contact us and we could assist you in accessing those and enabling those settings on your machine. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what the screen looks like when you actually start your air pressure therapy. So before I start the machine, as I was about to just start it, the Air 11 actually did an over-the-air update. And this might happen from time to time. So if you see a message on your machine saying an update is in progress, it's totally normal. It's just ResMed updating the software of their machine. So you would just want to let that happen, and then you'll get a message like this when the update is finished, and you can just hit OK, and you're back to your regular menu. So now let's take a look at how the machine screen looks when air pressure is started. So I'm going to press the start button on the top of the machine, okay? And you're going to see that it provides the air pressure setting on the display of the screen. And then you'll also be able to see your prescription settings below. Your main pressure setting is going to be in the bigger font, which is the starting pressure. If you have a ramp setting, it'll usually stay at a low level initially, allowing you to fall asleep. And the number below the screen is going to show you what your prescription is. So in this case, this machine was set to 4 to 20, so that's why you see the 4 to 20 below. Now, as a screensaver, the machine will turn off the light when you're not touching anything for a while, so it doesn't distract you at nighttime. If you touch the screen again, it will light up and display what's going on. When you stop your machine, it will immediately open the sleep view page that we were just viewing and go over the data of your usage that just occurred. So of course, you'll see how long you used it, how many events per hour you had, and if your mask seal was good or not. Now in this case, I just turned on the machine for a minute, so there's no real information to display. But if you had sustained usage, you would see some important information over here. So while we're on the interface, I'm now going to show you what changes to expect on the screen when you're using a climate line heated tubing as opposed to a regular slimline tubing, because you have more setting options with the heated one. So when you're just using a regular slimline tubing, your My Options page looks like this. You have humidity level. If you touch this, you can adjust it from off, which is no heat, or up to 8, which is the maximum heat, or maximum humidity level. Normally, we advise to start off at 4. If you're noticing symptoms such as dryness or congestion, go up 1 level at a time until your symptoms subside. If you're finding that the air is too thick or heavy, or you're getting a lot of moisture towards your tubing and mask, you can decrease your humidity setting using the slimline tubing. So you would select the setting you want and hit OK. So now I'm going to show you what the setting looks like with your climate line air heated tubing connected. So we're going to plug in the device, and as soon as you plug it in, you're going to see a prompt message saying climate line air connected. So that's when you know that your machine has detected the tubing and you've connected it properly. Now, rather than seeing humidity level, you're going to see 2 new settings. You're going to see climate control and tube temperature, both of them at default auto settings. We do recommend to just use these default auto settings when you first get your equipment, as these are preset settings suggested by ResMed to give you optimal humidity and preventing rainout. Rainout is a phenomenon where you get a lot of moisture built up in your tubing, and this could cause a popping or a rattling noise during your therapy, and it can be quite alarming at that time. This usually occurs when there's a loss of temperature in your tube. So if the air going through your tube cools down too much, it won't be able to hold the humidity level that the machine is trying to provide, causing the condensation and the rainout. Heated tubings essentially insulate the tube to prevent this condensation building up, so you get the optimal humidity from your machine. Now, you could manually adjust these settings too if you needed. So if you touch climate control and change it to manual, and then hit OK, now below the screen, you're going to see tube temperature and humidity level display some values. In terms of tube temperature, you can go anywhere from 60 Fahrenheit up to 86 Fahrenheit, or you could go from 16 degrees Celsius up to 30 degrees Celsius, and we could set up the units for your preference on there. In general, if you're getting moisture buildup in your tubing, you want higher temperatures. Some individuals do prefer cooler temperatures, so feel free to select a cooler one if you prefer. Just be advised, if you're selecting cooler temperatures, you might have to reduce your humidity level to address that rainout if it occurs. Okay? And these settings can always be adjusted on this My Options page. If you wanted to go back to the default settings, you'd go back to climate control, switch it to auto, and then your tube temperature defaults back to auto as well. So that's your interface with either the climate line heated tubing or the slimline tubing. So now we're going to go over the maintenance and cleaning aspect of your equipment. Okay, so now I'm going to go over the maintenance of your equipment, which your care guide sheet also goes over. In terms of the machine itself, ResMed devices have a standard 3-year warranty. You could also purchase an upgraded warranty up to 5 years if needed. In general, PAP devices are recommended to be changed every 5 years. Now, there are disposable parts of your equipment that need more frequent maintenance as well. That would be the tubing of your machine, the mask that you're using with the device, the water canister of your equipment, and as well as the air filter of your device as well. So in general, your mask, your tubing, and your water canister is recommended to be replaced every 6 months from the manufacturer. Now, in terms of the mask, some individuals may elect to replacing parts of the mask, which might wear out sooner than the 6 months, such as the nose piece cushion or a face cushion, depending on the mask you're using. Your headgear, if you're finding that it's wearing out more quicker, can also be replaced sooner. Alternatively, you could just replace the entire mask assembly every 6 months. Same with the tubing, you would just replace the entire tubing in 6 months and the entire water canister in 6 months as well. For the filters, we recommend changing them every 3 months. If you have pets or allergies, you can elect to change them more frequently, or you could purchase hypoallergenic filters, which are also sold separately. Along with those replacements, on a weekly basis, you do want to keep your equipment clean. Sleep hygiene is very important to your PAP therapy, so you want to make sure you're washing your mask, your tubing, and your water chamber once a week at the minimum. So we recommend putting all 3 items into a bucket or a sink using warm water and using dish or hand soap. You can soak all 3 pieces of equipment in that soapy water solution for about 15 to 30 minutes, rinse it out, and let it air dry. As a stopgap between your weekly cleans, feel free to use wipes to keep the surface of your mask clean on a nightly basis. For wipes, we do carry mask wipes, but you have wipes like facial wipes or baby wipes. You can use those as well to keep your equipment clean. In general, avoid Clorox or Lysol or alcohol-based wipes, as those could wear out your material and cause skin irritation if you use it on this. So as a rule of thumb, only use wipes that you're okay with using on your skin on your PAP equipment. Now, along with the equipment that you get that's preset, you're also going to get access to support services to make sure your therapy goes smoothly. So one support service is the MyAir app. It's optional, but it's highly recommended, as when you get the app, you get easy to read information on your phone about your sleep quality. It'll give you a score out of 100 based on things like your usage hours, your events, as well as your mask seal. If you see lower scores there, this could prompt you to contacting your vendor, and we could take a look at your data reports online using the cloud service. We can then send those reports to your physician, and your physician can support or suggest setting adjustments if needed. And all these setting adjustments can be done remotely. This service is available for any person that purchased this equipment from us, and we would be able to access your data reports and send information to your physician on demand. We don't actively monitor anyone's information, so for us to look into it, you would simply just call us by phone or email, and we'll be able to do so right away. So those support services are also available with your Air 11 device. Okay guys, so to close it out, I'm going to show you how your equipment should be set up and what it would look like when you're using your device. And as a volunteer, we have Stylish Sam, and Stylish Sam is basically you at home right now, okay? And maybe you have nice hair like Sam here. Don't be afraid. Your CPAP therapy is not going to impact it, as you can see. Still very stylish. So I have the N20 mask. It's installed right on him. It's covering his nose. His headgear and everything is adjusted to be nice and firm, but not too tight. It needs to be comfortable. Essentially, for the mask seal, it needs to be covering your nose or your nose and mouth, depending if you're using a full face mask. and it just needs to be keeping a seal. You shouldn't feel air leaking out, hitting your eyes or anything like that. All masks have their own tubing connector. So in the case of this N20 here, it has a little flexible elbow joint with a short tubing. It also has a quick release, which some masks have, where you can easily disconnect it from the front. So you would essentially connect this connector to the tubing of the device, which would then connect to the back of the machine. Of course, the water chamber, you would make sure you'd fill it up with water. If you're not using any water on this, make sure you turn your humidity level off so it doesn't heat up a dry tank. And then once you're ready to go to sleep, you simply press the button. Your equipment is going to display the pressure on the screen. The machine is going to start blowing air, and now Sam can basically go to sleep. Thank you for watching our video. We hope you found it useful. If you had any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to our staff at Airwall, and we'll be glad to help you out.